Welcome to the New York Sports Rush right here on the Bet Rivers Network. EJ Hradek alongside Art Stapleton, who covers the New York Giants. Been doing that for a long time for The Record and NorthJersey.com. Art, let's get right to it because we got two preseason games in the books. I want to start, though, by asking you about the Harbaugh effect because, you know, this team was in West Virginia. You were there the whole time to start training camp. They've been in pads a lot. They've been trying to, it seems to me from the outside, trying to create a physical identity. What are you seeing from Harbaugh as he's come in here? What's it like for you, having seen a myriad of coaches over the last decade?
Yeah, no doubt, EJ. I think the biggest thing is that, you know, the Giants, and for good reason, for almost a decade with all those coaches that you pointed out, we're always nervous about the injuries and what are we going to do to prevent injuries? And a lot of that became we're going to pull back in practice. Unfortunately, you start seeing how that affects the team on the field when the games begin and they're not ready for the start of the season. What Harbaugh has done the opposite, and that comes with 18 years of success, only 3 losing seasons in his tenure in Baltimore. Although you listen to the aftermath, and it's almost like Ravens fans make it seem like he lost every season the way it ended. I think he has a plan. He has a blueprint. The team buys into it. You don't hear any players grumbling about how the practices are 2.5 hours, too long. And I think ultimately what they've done is they've prepared themselves. They've calloused the body, so to speak. And I think last week, case in point, they had 2 days, a joint practice on Thursday and the preseason game in Miami, where the heat and humidity would have destroyed previous Giants teams. And I say that from experience. That's not conjecture. And they didn't this time. They had 1 or 2 soft tissue issues. Guys were held out of the game on Saturday. But for the most part, when you have veterans thanking the coaches for pushing them as hard as they have, and you don't even have a win on the board yet, that says something about the head coach.
You know, I guess he could do that, right? Because he brings, as you point out, all that experience with him. Some guys come in there, younger guys or guys with less experience, less pedigree. Harder for them to get away with that, isn't it?
No doubt. And I think that's the big issue. You know, and what Harbaugh ran into in Baltimore is the idea that, you know, sooner or later guys start questioning, you know, are we doing everything the right way? Should we be doing things differently? You've only won 1 Super Bowl, you know, in your tenure. It's like there are coaches. There are 4 coaches that have come and gone here with the Giants who would have killed for more than one playoff win. So I do think that that's a situation that everybody sits up a little more when John Harbaugh walks in the room. He doesn't have to take his ring out. He doesn't have to put his resume out there. These guys know what kind of head coach that they have.
Let me ask you about the relationship with Jackson Dart, Harbaugh, and then also Matt Nagy and Greg Roman. I mean, this is a unique situation here. You got, you know, the 2 guys sitting up next to each other in the booth. Nagy is the offensive coordinator, but Greg Roman has had that role in the past. You have a new head coach. You have the quarterback in his second year. How's that meshing so far in a preseason where, let's face it, Dart's not going to play a lot. You know, he played a little against Minnesota, didn't play against Miami. Getting ready for the regular season.
Yeah, I think, you know, they have this brain trust, like you mentioned, on offense where, you know, I think Harbaugh tried to fit everybody together in terms of looking at strengths and weaknesses. The bottom line is we don't know until the first game comes. You know, everything is great at this point until, you know, the bullets start flying. And ultimately, I think Nagy has kind of overseen everything. I think you've had Greg Roman for the run game. I think you had Brian Callahan for the passing game, and ultimately how this team connects with Jackson Dart in the offense, I think ultimately is going to be what makes this team successful or unsuccessful.
How's Dart looked in the, you know, obviously you don't see a lot in the preseason, but just in the workouts in West Virginia, here he seems like he's got a kind of connection with Isaiah Likely already. What's the feel for Dart right now?
There have been growing pains, EJ. I mean, and you would expect that, right? I mean, you're talking about, you know, a rookie quarterback who came in last year and had a coach who catered everything to him. Then that coach gets fired. Then you have to kind of mix and match the rest of the season. He missed 2 weeks with the concussion. He comes back. This team wasn't very good at the end of the season. And now you come in and everything is clean and everything is new again. So I think you expected some growing pains. I think they want to get him to a certain level. John Harbaugh would not have accepted this job if he didn't believe that Jackson Dart had a certain ceiling that he could reach. So there have been some growing pains. They wanted him to work more under center. They want him to become more of a pocket passer, but they don't want him to lose what makes him Jackson Dart, and that's the ability to get out and create. You saw in the preseason opener, the touchdown pass to rookie Malachi Fields. He gets out of the pocket, makes a throw that maybe 3 other quarterbacks in the NFL could have made. It was Mahomes-esque. And that's not saying a lot. It's not saying that he's Patrick Mahomes, but that's the kind of talent that lives in that arm and in that body.
What's the latest on Malik Neighbors? It looks like that red shirt might be coming off soon.
Yeah, they hope so. John Harbaugh said yesterday, we don't think it's a necessity. They want to rush him into contact in practice. All it takes is one teammate who doesn't realize, takes a false step. And now, you have your star receiver laying there, going, what the heck just happened? But I think he is progressing to the point where they like the way he looks. Harbaugh made this point a couple weeks ago. The knee is stable. Now it's about here, and it's about getting back to that muscle memory of what you can do as a player. There's nobody like Malik Neighbors on this offense, as talented, the skill set, and now it's just a matter of figuring out the right path to have him ready for week 1. I definitely think he's on that path, but we'll see, Jay. It's still 3 weeks, so let's see if there are any pitfalls along the way. But I definitely think that Neighbors is on track to be there week 1 against the Cowboys.
Art, I was checking out your 53-man roster update after the game against Miami over the weekend, and you had 7 receivers. You think that Odell's going to be there, and you think they're going to take 7 receivers, I guess, with someone like Barrios. He has return skills. Why 7? Why do you think they would keep all 7? Because that is, that limits you in other areas.
Yeah, definitely. And I kind of put the disclaimer on it, EJ, that I think there's going to be some movement here. I think there's going to be a wide receiver needy team that tries to make a play for maybe a Darnell Mooney or Darius Slayton. Slayton is the contract, so you won't have to be giving up much. You'll have to take that contract on. But Mooney has a very minimal contract. And I think there are teams, you look at the Houston Texans, they just lost Jaden Higgins, a young, promising receiver. They're going to need – they just signed 2 guys off the street, Zay Jones and Sterling Shepard, who Giants fans know well, just to kind of plug holes. They can't screw around in a team like Houston. You want to get weapons for C.J. Stroud. So I think there might be a little movement in that room. But, the sentimentality aside, I think Odell has done just enough this summer as anybody else on this roster to earn a spot. Now it's just a matter of being able to put that puzzle together, and they still have a week to do so. So we'll see if some puzzle pieces kind of move around here in the wide receiver room.
Yeah, look, Odell, looking at those first 2, games and the opportunities that he had, especially against Miami, it looked like he was finding ways to get open. And unfortunately, he couldn't pull in that touchdown pass near the end of the first half. I mean, it looks like he can still play in this league.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no doubt. And the reality is that for a guy to be off just about 2 years in the NFL, out of the league last year, and to come into a John Harbaugh camp, we touched in the open, how physical it's been, how grueling it's been. The guy hasn't missed a snap. I mean, he has been there every single day. No soft tissue injuries, no issues where I need a day. So I think from that perspective, he's shown the Giants everything he can be. Now it's just a matter, are we deciding on whether or not guys are good enough to play on this team? If they catch or don't catch a touchdown in a preseason game against the Dolphins backups, well, that might be a fine line you have to draw. But I think Odell's got a shot. I don't think he will go anywhere else. So if he does end up getting released here, I think he'll probably stay around. I would think he'll take a shot at the practice squad and then just hope, we talk about that puzzle, hope that he gets more of an opportunity as we move on. All it takes is one injury, and all of a sudden the surplus of wide receivers right away is now, oh my God, who are we going to get here to play wide receiver? And he's right there.
You saw that last year, right? We saw that last year with Neighbors when he went down. Let me ask you, help me out with these running backs, because they bring in Najee Harris. He hasn't been able to play yet. So, there's the Harbaugh connection there. He was in San Diego. Now he's LA with the Chargers, and now he's in with the Giants. We'll see how that plays out. Tyrone Tracy is the interesting guy to me. He misses that assignment in week 1. Dart gets hammered against the Vikings. He fumbles in week 2. It's a new coach, has no ties to Tracy. I wonder, I've seen this movie in other sports where a new coach comes in, you don't have a great camp, and it's a statement that, hey, some things are just not accepted. Where are you with him?
That's the crazy thing, EJ, is other than those two plays, it's like other than what happened at the end, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Yeah.
He's had a good summer.
Yeah.
Tyrone Tracy was running with the first team with Cam Scadaboo until Najee Harris got here last week. So I definitely think, look, Harbaugh pinpointed Najee Harris. He's a guy who had 4 1,000-yard seasons in Pittsburgh. He got hurt last year. He was with Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh. So you nailed that. It's definitely Scadaboo and Harris. I think Tracy has a role here as big as it was 2 weeks ago. Probably not. Does he have to show a little bit of resolve here and not let this snowball going from the missed blitz to pick up to the fumble to now what? But I definitely think that Tracy has a role here. Could they trade him? Could someone think they're going to get him on the cheap? I don't know necessarily if they're looking to get rid of a running back at that situation, but it remains to be seen.
All right, let me ask you about the offensive line because it looks like it's a deeper group this year. I know you were impressed with the reserves that got to play in that heat and humidity in Miami.
Yeah, definitely. A rookie left tackle who everyone's projecting as guard, J.C. Davis from Illinois, plays 81 of 81 snaps in a feels like temp of 102 on Saturday late afternoon in the preseason game. Harbaugh was impressed. I mean, they have 2 backup tackles. Marcus Bowe from Purdue was a draft pick last year. They played on Saturday. You have Andrew Thomas, who's one of the best when healthy, and he's been healthy all summer. Jermaine Illuminor has been a stalwart at right tackle the last 2 years. So I think from this team building outside in, I think their offensive line, this is the best group of offensive linemen that they've had probably since the Super Bowl. And I'm not even talking 2011. I'm talking 27. So that's a long time for this team. Every year the Giants have been held back by their offensive line. I would definitely say the one spot to watch is at center. John Michael Schmitz. Everyone's expecting that step forward in the organization. He's in the last year of his rookie contract. He's already had a concussion that kept him out about a week of practice. If he doesn't step up, I think that could be the domino that causes this offensive line to maybe collapse a little bit more than people thought.
All right, let's get to the defensive side of the ball. How has Arvell Reese look for you? I mean, such a great athlete coming out of Ohio State. What do you think of him so far?
He's been great, and I think he landed in the right spot. If he were in New York with the Jets, if he were in Tennessee or even Arizona, and they try to pigeonhole him into an edge rusher role, that's a projection for Arvell Reese. Arvell Reese is an inside linebacker with pass rush skills that can be developed. He came here, the Giants right out of the bat said, you know what? He's going to be one of our inside linebackers. He told me last week, look, I love that. I didn't put that out there during the draft because I was going to go wherever they wanted me to go. But I love the idea of being an inside linebacker. It's what I played at Ohio State. He's been great. So I think the combination of Reese and Tremaine Edmonds in the middle is really kind of redefine this Giants defense. We know what they have at the pass rush. We know the questions they have on the defensive line and on the back end. But these two inside linebackers give a different look to this defense. And I think they're really going to be, when you look at this Giants defense, you're going to say, boy, we didn't expect this from Reese and Edmonds from outside the organization. There are definitely expectations inside the organization. I think Reese can be Defensive Rookie of the Year. I really do. Wow. He's been that impressive this summer.
How about Abdul Carter? I mean, is he going to take a step forward? I was so impressed with that kid at Penn State. And then last year was kind of uneven. There was a lot of good things. There was some tough things. It was a hard year for a lot of the team, obviously. Where has he been in camp, and is he ready to take maybe that step?
He's been the best player on the field in the summer for the Giants. I don't think that's any question. I think anyone watching the Giants would say that. Ultimately, I think you're looking at if it's Carter and Burns together with Kayvon Thibodeau as well, and they haven't dealt him, he's here. I think Carter is the one who could take that massive leap forward. I think when you're looking at a player, he should be that kind of player where he was drafted. I think a lot of it was about learning how to finish last year. I think this year he definitely learns how to finish. He threw out a couple weeks ago, I want to be in the running for defensive player of the year. Well, if the Giants are successful and this defense takes that jump and is as good as they think they can be, I think Abdul Carter will be right there among the league leaders in sacks. And if you can get Burns in sacks, Burns, who had 16 and a half last year, so Burns and Carter together, I think this Giants might have something cooking on the defensive side of the ball.
How about on the back end, the secondary? I mean, they look good against Miami, but you and I might have looked good against Miami. I mean, they didn't really provide much of a battle. Albeit, I'll say it, right there. In years past, the Giants were dominant in that game, so that's a great sign. I don't want to underplay it too much, but the Dolphins didn't have a lot. Secondary did look good. It'll be different when they play Dallas and LA in the first 2 weeks, the Rams. But what do you think of the secondary? Where are they?
Yeah, it's talk about going from single A baseball and then going to the majors when you're going to Dallas and LA. I mean, they're going to be challenged right off the bat by Dak and Stafford and the receivers they both have. The Giants have been confident. I was told all offseason they were more confident in the corners that they had. I'd say midway through training camp, it was one of those, whoa, we are in trouble. But I think a lot of those players have kind of bounced back a little bit. I mean, you're talking about a reclamation project in Deonte Banks. Paulson Adebo, who they signed last year from New Orleans, didn't have a great year, had a terrible start to camp. He's on his upswing back. I think Greg Newsome has been solid for them. He's probably been their best corner pound for pound.
I liked him against Miami. I thought he was real good in both the pass and the run. He got up there, stuck his nose in.
No doubt. And in this defense, you're going to have to get up there and stick your nose in it. And I think that's what held Tay Banks back last year, is that he just seemed like he was hesitant to play the run. And, with a John Harbaugh team with defensive coordinator Denard Wilson, if you're hesitant as a corner on the boundary to play the run, you are not going to play. And I think the other player to watch here over the first quarter of the season will be Colton Hood, their second-round rookie from Tennessee. He's still got a little growing pains. Mentioned that with Dart earlier. I think Hood, once he kind of finds his way technique-wise and what he can get away with in the NFL coverage-wise and what he can't, I think Hood will be a starter for this team. He's very talented. I think they like him a lot.
Okay, I got to ask you about special teams. Last year, with the kicking game, there was some disasters. We saw that whole thing with Koo. I don't know how to explain what happened there in New England, and you're shaking your head. You saw it.
Who does?
Yeah, right. How about? They've had a good competition. You've got Zavada ahead. I think you said he made 65 of 69 kicks in the summer so far this year. He made 2 against Miami. Is he the guy for them right now? Because the special teams have to be better as well.
Yeah, look, they invested in an all-pro punter. Jordan Stout came from Baltimore with Harbaugh, so they feel like they've solved they made him the highest-paid punter in the league. And then they have 2 rookies. They have Ben Mann, who is an undrafted rookie from Boston College, is their long snapper. And then the kicker, Zavada, and Ben Sauls is a second-year pro. Look, what I'll say about Zavada is he's smooth. He told me smooth as water. That's what he thinks when he steps to the ball. And I think right now you're shocked when he misses one. And I think that says a lot about how much he's grown. So, yeah, I think Harbaugh goes with another rookie. Last year he went with Loop. It kind of cost him his job in Baltimore at the end of the season. But I think they definitely go with another undrafted rookie here in Zavada. And I think they'll be pleased with what they have.
All right, we got the Jets coming up Friday. Then the cutdown day is on Sunday. What should we look for in that game against the Jets? What's important?
Well, right now, health is number one. They've got to keep some of these bubble guys healthy. They've managed to do that. I think they're looking for defensive line. Outside of 2 veterans, DJ Reader and Shelby Harris, they've got a lot of mixing and matching to do up front. They're not going to overload those guys on snaps, so they need to find answers there, especially in the run game. Veteran Chauncey Golston is going to move from edge, probably to play the 5 technique up front. I don't know if he can hold up in run defense. And then you have to look at and how the back end sorts itself out. And, we think they have some good safeties, but the main spot for this team, I think, the two that you're going to watch this weekend is wide receiver, and everybody wants to see what happens with Odell. And then obviously the defensive line. Can they move some guys around? Can they make trades? Because I definitely think General Manager Joe Shane will be looking to make a trade for maybe some defensive tackle help from teams that might have a surplus. But those are the two spots, wide receiver and defensive line, that you have to watch against the Jets. And then obviously the fallout 24, 48 hours later when the cuts come down.
Yeah, so a busy week for the New York Giants, getting ready to play the Jets on Friday, the final exhibition game, getting ready for the season opener Sunday night at home against the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of buzz around these G-men right now, Art. I think that's good, right?
Well, it's better than the alternative. It's usually about it's been about the off season for this team for as long as I can remember. Now it's about the regular season. You should be good. You should be competitive. Let's see what happens when the ball goes out there and the kickoff on Sunday Night Football with the Dallas Cowboys. A couple of years ago, the Giants were confident coming off a playoff year, and they lost 40-0 to the Cowboys on opening night. You are not going to get that taste out of the Giants' mouth unless you win this game. So optimism is great. Mr. Mike Tyson, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
That is absolutely right. So we'll just, for now, worry about the Jets on Friday night and see who's on this roster come Sunday night. Art, thanks for the time so much. Love reading and watching your stuff there with at the Record and NorthJersey.com. Keep up the great work. We'll talk to you again.
Thanks, EJ. Appreciate it.
All right, Art Stapleton covering the New York Giants. This has been the New York Sports Rush right here on the Bet Rivers Network. Remember to like, subscribe. We got all kinds of good stuff. It's the great time of the sports calendar right now. So stay with us right here on the New York Sports Rush. Have a great day, everybody.